Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm MD Gaming, and today I got a special one for you. Things I wish I knew when I first started playing. I got a lot of help from Redditors out there with things they wish they knew too, and it takes a community to build a community, so I hope you enjoy. So the first one, we're going to talk about the admiralty backing. So I'm a free-to-play player, so I usually wait until I go all the way through this entire thing before I actually use admiralty backing and buy it with the free doubloons I got, because I honestly don't want to run the risk of losing my doubloons when I know I can't get the ship. But recently in March there was a new update, I believe, if it was in March, that allows you to buy, and as you can see in missions right now, I just have heroic efforts because I've already completed the weekly challenges, but there's a new one that if you buy admiralty backing, you will get a brand new mission set, and it will help propel you to finish the missions quicker, and thus you have to do less effort. So I just bought it, and as you can see, I have a new mission called Battle Paralysis. And with Battle Paralysis, you get 4 extra missions for 5 extra levels. Once you complete all 4, it gives you that free one like always, and then you're able to complete the campaign in 4 weeks, sometimes 3 if a couple redders if they said they can do, rather than the 5. But again, there's always a risk to everything, so if you put the money in beforehand and you're able to complete it, well, you're out the doubloons, whereas you're a little bit safer if you wait to the very end and then you do it. But you're not going to get as much steel now, and steel can get those epic mods. I do not know if you can buy it in week 3 and 2 and get Battle Paralysis for week 1. If you do know, please leave comments below and let us know. The next one is something I should have known a long time ago, but I was just too lazy to do the research, so I just want to pass on that knowledge to you. And that is checking the armor scheme of certain ships that give you trouble, or to better understand your own ship. So by this, I'm going into the upgrade and loadouts. I'm scrolling all the way to the right for armor, and then I get to look at the armor scheme. I think the Synop is a great ship to kind of display this, because they're known for having the Ice Baker bow. When they bow tank you, it's very hard to fight them off. But as you can see, the upper part of that bow is actually substantially weaker than the lower part. So if you were going to attack the Synop, it would probably be in your best interest to aim a little bit higher than at the waterline, because then you'd get more penetration. If you scroll over, you can scroll over to armor thickness, and it lets you know actually what type of caliber can penetrate and do damage. So right here it says 203mm and lower caliber AP shells are going to ricochet off the superstructure. The next one is going to talk about how it resists up to 102mm HE shells, and then 102 AP shells can deal penetration damage at that type of armor scheme. Right here, 356mm and lower caliber AP shells ricochet, 406 ricochet, and then right here just says resist HE shells up to 203. So you're just going through all the armor schemes, you're kind of knowing the ship, and then you kind of know what type of rounds are going to do a lot of damage. Now it's also that you know how your own ship millimeter fires, but this is a good way to understand your ship and then how to defeat ships that are always a thorn in your side. This one's going to be a quick one. This one is just talking about a special module that is in this 3rd slot. So I have the Vladstock right here. I actually have this modification on there, and it's the Target Acquisition Systems modification. That 3rd one, which is RGA of ships, is range of guaranteed acquisition. So every ship is acquired at 2 kilometers, but when you actually put this modification on, you actually can acquire up to 3 kilometers. So if someone's up in a smoke or someone's close to an island, it acts as a mini radar. So if that's what interests you, this is definitely the modification to have, but now you know what RGA stands for. This one, we're going to talk about the mountain symbol. So right above my mast to the right, you can see there looks 2 mountains. What this symbol tells you is that the rounds that you are about to fire are not going to clear the obstacle in front of you, and thus you're not going to be able to hit your target. So as you can see, that mountain symbol is telling me, hey, what you're shooting at is the mountain, of course. Granted, it's exaggerated, but as soon as I'm able to clear it, it disappears, and it lets me know that all my rounds are going to be able to clear that mountain. Now sometimes it's not accurate. So as you can see, the mountain symbol is there. I fire, one is still able to go through. So you can still shoot over some mountains with a mountain symbol there, but you won't be able to get that full salvo that you want. If you want to get a full salvo, make sure you're patient, wait till that mountain symbol goes away, and then you can unleash a full salvo on your enemies. The next, we're going to jump into the bureau and talk about some bureau things I wish I knew. So, we're here, we're talking about bureau specific daily trials. So, for the daily trials, I have the mass and the Algier on it. Don't always go to standard for these. Sometimes it's better to do versus AI. It still counts according to your daily trials, and it's a lot quicker. Rather than spending 15 minutes hoping for a win, it's usually 3 minutes with a guaranteed win. Yes, you are going to lose some credits, but the credits that you lost in one game here, you can make it up in one standard game that you're playing with a ship that you really do enjoy. So, we're just going to fast forward through this part. Captain Alvin does say, though, you need at least one kill in versus AI. So watch Captain Alvin as he tries to kill some ships with his shotgun. Thanks, Captain Alvin, for showing us that gameplay. As you saw, it took less than about 5 minutes to complete that mission. It's most likely going to be a guaranteed win. And if you look, so I have 3 hours and 42 minutes left until completion. The Algier one I already had going, so I was at 5 hours. Now I'm at 342. And then once you see the Moss complete itself, you'll see it goes from 342 to 2 hours and 22 minutes. So I shaved off an hour and 10 minutes time, and so for 2 of them you're talking about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and over the course of an entire campaign it really adds up. Another one I wish I knew when I first started, I still don't do it because I'm pretty bad, but it is to start every bureau project. The reason why is if you talk to people who were around when the California was a bureau project, Wargaming took the project out, but if you started it, you would have not had it removed and you would have been fine. So you know if you started it because the bureau project will say postponed. So as you can see, the Saipan is postponed, the Bureau is postponed, the Daring is not started, the Napoli is not started, and so those ones run the risk of being taken away from me, so I can never play them again. But the Saipan and the Bureau are ones that I can always go back to because I've already started them, and Wargaming will not take them out of my bureau queue. So this is the thing to hold on to ships that you actually want to keep. So, speaking about ships, how can you talk about ships without talking about the precious camo that make them look cool? So, here's the Nuremberg, very naked, very afraid, but I'm going to keep it naked and afraid because ultimately I don't want to waste the valuable camouflage. Now, camouflage has the ability for sea detectability range of lessening that, along with incoming fire dispersion, so you're harder to hit. So you're harder to see and harder to hit. So this is very valuable. Putting it on ships that you don't really need it for, or you don't see a purpose of using until after you're done with the tech tree, you're just wasting camo that you can put it somewhere else. Take it for my Fubuki, which I actually love as a ship. I have permanent camo right there, and basically what it's going to give me that permanent negative 4.5 sea detectability and positive 4.5 fire dispersion around me. I'm harder to hit, harder to see, makes it a lot more effective. And to do this, you melt paint. So I have 137 that I can melt, and I can basically get that to 411. And as you can see, I can go to type 1 right here, and I can upgrade it for only 150. So I can boost this 2 levels for that 137 right there. And that's 137 games for that little bit. But if I play this game 500 times, or the ship 500 times, it's going to pay off in the long run. The next one we're going to talk about is limited offers. So as you can see, this Azure Lane Tier 4 combo, it says it's a limited offer for minus 40%. And in the upper left hand corner, you see limited offer minus 40% and ends in 25 days. That lets the player know that you have 25 days to get this. Same thing with the Congress. You have 25 to get this ship. Otherwise, it'll be gone from the store. That being said, not everything's the same, because in here you have the Republic and ZF6. They both say limited offer, but this limited offer does not have a time frame. And that's because it only allows you to buy it once for the GXP. That's the limited offer this one offers. So some are GXP driven and then others are time driven. Don't feel super pressured on the ones that are not time driven. Take your time, don't spend the money, and focus on raising your GXP to get the ships that you want. Talk about is two specific things that deal with commanders: commendations and GXP mishaps. With commendations, as you can see, all the golden ones are personal commendations on the commander, and then in the upper right hand corner of my thing, it tells in the blue it's universal commendations. So as you can see, Norman Scott right here is a legendary 4 commander. So one of the benefits of having a legendary 4 universal commander is I can go to the store at any time. I can go over to Norman Scott, I can click his name, and then I can buy his universal commendation rather than a personal commendation, because he's a legendary 4 and I can't upgrade him anymore. This gives me more freedom to choose which commanders I want to upgrade when it's available, rather than just the personal commendations. The next one we're going to talk about is GSP mishaps. As you can see, when I hover over 15, I have commander XP of 512,000 commander XP, but at available resources down there, I have 453,000. So because of that, it says that I have enough, but I actually don't. The game does not tell you that you're going to be using your GXP to cover up that extra 100,000 commander XP difference or 70,000 commander difference. When you do that, you're going to lose your GXP. And it is a lot harder to gain GXP than it is commander XP. So make sure you check out your available resources at the bottom right hand side. Make sure you have enough before you click OK, because you're going to lose your global XP, and that's going to be very painful to try to get back, because it's the hardest thing to get back in the game. So just make sure you check beforehand and you'll be alright. So the next thing we want to talk about is turning off your anti-air on specific ships. This way it's going to prevent enemy aircraft from finding you earlier than what they would have otherwise. If you look right here by the right hand side of the Akatsuki's data, all the way to the right under by air under detectability, regular is 2.9. Let me just move a little bit forward first, and then you see regular 2.9, and then at the very bottom firing range it says AA guns at 5 kilometers. So basically my AA guns fire 2 kilometers further than what an aircraft could detect me. So actually aircrafts can detect me at 5K rather than that 2.9. But if I'm turning off my anti-air defenses, then I'll be able to maintain that 2.9 in the sky detectability. And by doing that, you open up your command wheel, and then on the right hand side, depending on what system you play for the PS4 and 5, it's going to be disengage. You just hit that button right there, disengage, and now at the upper left hand corner next to that mini map, it says anti-air and secondary battery is off. Certain ships you don't want to do it. If you're a secondary runner and you don't want to do that, don't run it, but usually this is for DDs. The next thing I want to talk about is outflank the flanker. And that's one of the redditors said, hey man, like you got to make sure you include that. Like you don't want to get beat to the outside. So depending on what type of ship you are, sometimes it's better to go all the way outside. I mean, you'll see pretty soon that as I move further and further to the outside, I'm going to find a destroyer, and that destroyer is going to basically try to get around me. I'm not going to allow that. I have a battleship assisting me. I'm preventing him from getting to the outside, which is going to allow us to give him a kill, and that way now no one can beat us on the outside of the left side of the map, and we're pretty secure on this side because now we can just all crash in. So make sure you outflank the flanker. It frees up the left and right side of your team and allows them to then crash in on the enemy team. But for right now, sit back and relax, watch Calvin Alvin sail, and we'll talk about everything when we get closer about anti-air and secondary batteries off. Thanks, Captain Alvin. Now we're back to the game, guys, and as you can see in the sky, we have the enemy aircraft looking for me. They're at 3.6 kilometers and still can't find me because by air I can only be found by 2.9. If my anti-air was on, they could have found me at 5 kilometers, and then that would have allowed the Colorado a lot better chance of shooting at me. But because it's 2.9 now, the enemy has to try a little bit harder to try to find me. Now he found me, which is a bummer, but it's just the way it goes. One thing that you should always be trying to do is as soon as you are spotted by air in the sky, you should be opening that wheel again and then turning back on your anti-air and secondary batteries. And that way you can fight these aircraft, because right now he has free reign over me and doesn't have to really stress about me trying to fire. I sometimes forget about it, it just happens that way. But this way I am now able to attack, say, the enemy cruise carrier and battleship and get a little bit closer because they weren't able to see me. So just know, if you want to stay undetected longer against enemy aircraft carriers, turning off that anti-air is going to allow you to get closer. For the Akatsuki, it allows you to get 2 kilometers closer. As soon as you realize you are spotted though, make sure you turn that anti-air on, and that's going to be able to then dispel the enemy aircraft that are in the sky. This was a terrible game for me, but it served the purpose of training, so I'll take the death anytime. Another insightful post I saw was, although you have people within range, if you can't fire at them, you're not that effective as a teammate. And so if you look at here, I'm behind this island, I'm able to shoot all the way across the map from C to A to assist with the Kansas with that extra added ability of being close to the Norman Scott. But because I'm so close to this island right here, I'm going to be very unable to provide assistance to my destroyers, which is ultimately going to lead them to be killed. And you're going to see this right now when that Jervis pops up. I wish I was able to shoot him, but because I'm so close to this island right now, I'm unable to fire at him. And this is wasted DPM that I could be using to assist my enemy destroyer. If I was in a better position, I would have been able to provide supportive fire, and that way we could have got that destroyer off the board. Same thing with this Iowa. The Iowa was in my range, but because I'm hugging this island, I'm unable to shoot. Make sure you kind of understand your ships a little bit better. Move them further away from islands. When you move them further away from cover, it's going to allow you the ability to actually assist your teammates and shoot with all your guns at targets that need to be fired at. So if you see yourself in this type of position, make sure you start trying to push further out so you get distance away from the obstacles that you're using. You're able to actually be in a position where the enemy is within range, and you're going to be able to use your range to shoot the enemy also. If I was in a better position, we probably would not have lost C, but because I was just hugging the island and I wasn't being an effective teammate, we lost the cap, and that was detrimental to the team. Luckily, our team did a good job. They didn't need my assistance. Now we're just going to cut all the way to the end of the game, where I know we'll be able to see a little bit more training, things I wish I knew better when I first played. So here we go, cutting to the end. This is going to focus on the defensive caps. So as you can see, Bravo's already taken. The hood is going to be inside. As I'm shooting the hood, I don't see the defense medal. That means that the other ship is accumulating the capture points.
Only 5 minutes remain.
Just know each ship has their own capture points. So if you shoot one ship religiously but not the other one, they'll still capture the base because each has their own individual capture point. So switching it up, attacking both ships will prolong the capture of a base more than if you just focused on one ship alone. This can be also done either if you own the cap or defend the cap, or the cap is neutral. And I thought that was very insightful. You don't have to capture B in order to be effective by gaining points. You can stay out of B and still be effective at B by preventing the enemy to capture it, because they're going to put themselves in bad positions. So just know that you don't always need to capture a base in order to be an effective player. You can just be on the outside, resetting the cap, getting those like defense points and preventing the enemy from capturing it. The last thing we're going to talk about here is just don't waste shots. So if you have it loaded, fire. If you keep holding for the right position, it's never going to come. You can aim for the superstructure, you can aim for the upper belt. Those parts are usually lower in strength than the lower belt, torpedo belt. And so if you just keep firing, you're going to be able to get that damage and get those destroys. So just know those two things when it comes to defending caps and attacking enemies. And so lastly, I just want to talk about specific points that I wasn't able to get video of, but I believe are very essential to become a successful player in World of Warships Legends. And the first one is know what it takes to win and don't be afraid to run. If you're at low health, or if you're the only one left and there's 4 ships, but you're up on points, there's nothing wrong with running away and hiding so you can take the win. When you take a win rather than try to fight the enemy, you're going to get more base XP, you're going to get a higher win rate, and you can get a couple medals. So it's going to be more beneficial to you if you know when to run and when to fight. That also goes into the second point, is keep your eye on the clock and the points and the caps. Because you have 1 minute left and you have more caps than the enemy and you're like 30 points ahead, stay away from the enemy, because ultimately you'll win the game, because there's no way they're going to get a cap. So just always be attentive to the time and the points, because ultimately you don't have to try hard if you have the caps. That brings me to the last point of domination, is don't discredit capture points. Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie are more essential than actually killing the enemy. There's been multiple games if you've had 3 capture points, the enemies had 0. If the enemy is up by 5 ships and you're down to 1, you'll still win the game. So do not discredit capture points. Focus on trying to capture them, and your win rate will go up rapidly. Another Redditor posted that you should always check what type of round you have at the start of the game. This way, when you start the game with HE, you make sure you're able to change it to AP before the start of the game, so you can shoot the broadside cruisers and battleships immediately if that's your flavor of shooting. Lastly, I have 2 golden nuggets for you guys, things that I've done that have burned myself in the past that I just want to share to you guys now. And the first one is going to be, do not use GXP to advance your ships. Once you're starting off, you want to save that GXP so you can buy premium ships at higher tiers. Those premium ships at higher tiers are going to earn you more credits, and it's going to make buying ships a lot easier. When you're a free-to-play player, it's hard to get premium time, to get a lot of credits, and you're going to get stuck at, say, tier 7 trying to raise money for those. But with a premium ship, it makes it so much easier. So again, do not use GXP to advance ships, do not use it to advance commanders, do not use it in any other way, shape, or form unless it's buying premium ships from the store. Personal opinion, but it's something I got burned with, and I probably would never want to do ever again. The second one is, do not sell premium ships. When you sell a premium ship, it's pretty much lost forever. You have to email Wargaming to try to get it back. But in that meantime, if you were to open another crate, you would get that ship again, which you probably could have got a different ship if you didn't do that. It's not worth selling premium ships for credits. Credits are going to come over a certain time. That premium ship that you have has a greater chance of earning credits. So by selling the premium ship, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage, and you have a high chance of getting it again. Don't go through that. I went through that initially. I did it with the Scharnhorst, and the Scharnhorst was probably one of my most favorite ships to play. I regretted it for years until some other player reached out to me and let me know that I could buy it back through asking Wargame to please buy it back. But even then, it was a high price to buy it back, and it took me a while to get those credits to buy it back. So just know, do not sell premium ships. It's like the most taboo thing in Wargaming Legends. Every player will try to convince you not to do it because it's just not a good idea. I just want to say thank you to all the Redditors out there that provided some of this content. I really appreciate you guys. Like I've been saying, it takes a community to build a community, and you guys really helped out here. Please like and subscribe if you like this content, but most importantly, please leave comments. I want to know if I'm doing a good job or how I can improve. If there's things that you wish that you knew, please put down a comment to help everyone else out. I really appreciate it, everyone. And with that, MD Gaming out.